Boys, gentlemen, welcome back to the channel, baby. Listen, we on that daily upload grind. It's actually fucking 1 in the morning, so I'm making sure this video is going out before we fucking go to sleep. Ain't no fucking exceptions to this rule, man. Been a long day. Hair's kind of fucked up. You guys can see I just woke up from a nap. So here's the thing, gentlemen. What we're gonna talk about in this video is something that is talked about in the trading industry, but I don't think it's actually emphasized enough. And so what it is how to increase the monetary psychology cap you experience in your trading, in your just levels of thinking when you are actively in the markets, bro. And so what do I mean by that, guys? Something I noticed that is really unexpected, that you wouldn't really think plays a role until you experience it, and that's more so like why I'm making this video, is when you're trading, okay, and when you're on demo, things along these lines, you see big numbers and they're kind of just like, right? Because it's numbers on a screen. Big part of it is it's demo, right? Like when I first started trading, I remember this clear as day. So this was a demo account after I went live. I remember I took a position on the US 30 and I took a pretty big lot size position. I went to sleep and then I woke up the next day, and mind you, no stop loss, no take profit. This was like back then when I very first started trading. And so I went to sleep and then I woke up the next day and I saw, bro, I was $150,000 in profit. Like my MetaTrader 4 was blue with $150,000, bro. And I'll never forget that day because it kind of blew my fucking mind. I was like, holy shit. I was like, bro, I'm gonna be fucking rich. Just searching up nearest Lamborghini dealership where I live, like all this fucking shit, apartment, all that stuff. I was like, I'm gonna fucking be rich. It was a crazy day because I remember this shit. It was such a pivotal time in history for myself. But anyways, so you see these numbers on demo, and obviously, they kind of hit you. But what nobody tells you, and this is why I never recommend actually for anybody to trade on demo for really longer than just getting used to how to press buttons on MetaTrader. Like if you're really new, I would recommend for you to go and do a demo account. But as soon as you learn how the platform works, you know how to buy and sell, lot sizes, all that, get off, bro. Because the thing is, you don't have any psychological attachment to that demo money as you would with your regular money, okay? And that's what this video is about. And so what happens, right, is when you're trading demo money, bro, that paper trading, you're not psychologically attached to it. And so you're going to be able to execute on your edge. You're going to be able to trade like no problem, make money, for example, right? This is why you see so many traders. This is maybe why you've seen yourself. You're profitable on your demo account and you'll flip money like crazy. You'll think you're going to be a millionaire within the next 3 months because you've turned $1,000, I don't know, whatever, to however much. But then as soon as you go live with even less money than in your demo account, you fucking blow the account, right? Same things I experienced. Is because now when you have that real money, your own money in there, there's that psychological part of it that comes into play that is the most important part of it. And this is why I say just skip over that demo shit, go straight to trading your own money, no matter really how much it is. I wouldn't recommend for anybody to deposit more than like $100, $500 in an account and really just play with the percentages. But that's pretty much what I'm getting at. And so now after you understand that, what also happens is every time, gentlemen, that you start to push your limits when it comes to seeing profits on a screen, on the MetaTrader, on whichever platform you're on now, you start to get really emotionally attached, like more emotionally attached. Why? Because guys, when you're not used to seeing big numbers like swing on screens or move up and down, going from like 1,000 in profit to 2,000 in profit, maybe pulling back down to 500 in drawdown, these things start to fuck with your head because now you're playing with like bigger amounts of money that you're not used to. And so one of the first times this happened was when I took a $100,000 FTMO challenge way back. I believe it was 2020 or 2021. It was really early on in my trading journey. And I remember I had a $10,000 week on this challenge account. because I was in drawdown around like $94,000 or $96,000. And then pretty much after, Monday to Friday, or, beginning, whatever, that week, the account balance ended up going to around 10% in profit. So, or 10% gain for that week. So I was then at $104,000 balance or $106,000 balance, right? So 10%. And what happened, right, is when you're broke, right, first of all, you got no money, and you start to see these big numbers on a fucking screen, bro. This is like some of the most important shit when it comes to your trading, because when you start to push that limit, your emotions get so involved in the market, it's actually crazy. And you're probably wondering, like, what do you mean your emotions? Guys, think of all of the bad things that you should be avoiding in your trading, like, holding trades too long in drawdown, like moving your stop loss, closing trades early and take profit because you see those numbers, right? And that's the kind of shit that you experience when you're trying to get to that new level or trying to push things. Like, even, no matter what level you get to as a trader, you'll see some of the best traders in the industry do this. Like, when they're starting to have some of their biggest fucking days in the industry, $500,000 days, $100,000 days, you can even see their psychology come into play. Like, holy shit, this is a lot of money, let me not fuck around. And they'll maybe close it, even though they know that they're following their analysis and it could play out even more. It's just because it's a huge sum of money, right? And so I remember this for myself, where I would be up. Specifically, I want to talk about a moment where I've taken one of the biggest challenge accounts you can take in the industry. At the time, I don't even think you can do this really anymore. You probably can, but with very, very small amount of firms. Like, so most of the major firms don't offer this account anymore. So I took a $400,000 prop firm account with TFT. I believe it was a funded trader back then. I don't even know if they're still up. I don't believe so, but or maybe they're rebuilding. But I took a $400,000 challenge account with them, and I believe this challenge was like, it was really expensive, honestly. Well, not expensive for what you're getting, but the biggest amount of money I've ever deployed into like a challenge. It was like $2,500 or something like that, or $2,000 something dollars. And I remember taking my first position on that challenge account, risking 1%, because on all my prop firms I risk 1%. And mind you, like, if you're trying to, I minimum go for a 3-to-1 on all of my trade setups. And so when I was, in the first position going for a 1-to-3, it's crazy to think about, like, holy shit, like, you hitting a 1-to-3 on like a $400,000 account is $12,000 fucking dollars, is 12 grand, bro. And me seeing this kind of psychology shit weigh on, and mind you, I never had access to that kind of fucking capital before. It was insane. There were so many emotions I was encountering when I was playing with these things, and even the lot sizes that I was putting into MT4, like 12.5, 20, 24, 48, all these things were starting to fuck with my head, right? Because I'd see, I'd be up like $4,000. And, you're like, dude, I can just fucking close. I can just close and have like a $4,000 fucking day, right? But then what happens is exactly what I'm talking about in this video is, if I would have closed now, right? Luckily, I didn't do this, but these are the things that were going through my mind. And I probably did do this. I definitely did do this, but not in this specific occurrence. I remember specifically. But what happens, right? Say I'm up now 4 grand. I'm just looking at the monetary value here. If I would have closed now, just hitting a 1R, this will now fuck with my profitability and fuck with my entire trading plan in the long run, in the series of trades that I will take. Like, say out of 100 trades or out of 10 trades, because now I've completely fucked over my what's the word I'm looking for here? Pretty much my average risk to reward ratio, and my win rate, for example. Because now, if I would have just let that trade play out and it hits like a 3-to-1, 12 grand, right? But then say I lose like the next trade, and that's a $4,000 loss, a 1% loss, and a 1% loss. Or let's just think about a percentages, for example, right? Say I close that trade early at 1% dub. The next trade I take is a 1% L. And so now I'm at break even, pretty much back to initial balance. When, if I would have just followed my plan and initially, had a $12,000 day, up 3%, and then the next trade I take is now an L. I'm still net positive 2%, $8,000 within those 2 trading days. And now the reason, if this plays out, so forth and so on, and I keep closing early, or I'll extend my stop losses again, because you know you're in these psychological this psychological chaos of seeing these big numbers, you're just fucking yourself over, because now you're no longer looking at things in like the analytical way and the percentage way. You're looking at it in the monetary way, and in looking at it in the monetary way doesn't fuck over your trading. And this is where I really learned to like disassociate myself and kind of become numb to money in a way. I talk about this in another video, because I remember I hit like a 10-to-1 on this account. That it was like a huge swing position that played out over the course of like an entire day, maybe even 2 days. And a 10-to-1 on a $40,000 account risking 1% is $40,000. So that's like $40,000 swing in a day. And like imagine that, right? Like seeing $40,000 swing in a day. Bro, I've never fucking really, like specifically back then, made that fucking money in a year, bro. I was super young. So it was just like crazy, right? And these are the emotions that you have to be able to tackle. But more importantly, how are you going to tackle these emotions? Number one, in what I just explained, is knowing why your edge, number one, is consistent and works in the first place, is because you follow your plan, is because you're just following and trusting your analysis and your edge in the markets, and you're not letting your emotions get tied into the fucking money, bro, and things along those lines. The second way you're going to be able, and for myself, like to level up like this psychologically and increase that capacity, bro, is by just experiencing and by just doing. Like, that's as simple as it gets. To give you guys maybe more of a relatable experience, if you know, have never taken a I don't even think you can take a fucking $400,000 account really with any prop firm anymore. I haven't seen one as of recently. But initially, the first time I really experienced this was when I went, number one, from like a live account with really low amounts of money to taking a $10,000 challenge account that I passed. You guys can go look at that on this channel. It's, I believe, the very first video on my account. So I went from risking 1% of $10,000, which was like $100, to then taking a 6-figure funding prop firm with FTMO, which was $100,000. And so all of a sudden, the swings in my P&L went from like $100, right, 1%, to $1,000. And I remember just seeing this shit, and I'm like, dude, like, you know, like I'm up like $500 here within a couple candlesticks. Holy shit, I'm like a couple $100, like I'm automatically in the red, like 60-70 bucks, you know, because of spreads and stuff. And then you see yourself maybe 0.5% of drawdown, that's like $500, and it is fucking with you. Like, those are kind of the things, maybe to give you guys maybe a like more of a more relatable example, is in those jumps. And this will continuously happen for you at every single level, right? But what it always came back down to for me was just having and seeing myself and what I'm doing from like a third person point of view. Like, okay, no, so this is why we follow our plan. This is why we just have to let the things play out, manage the position properly. We don't really look at the money, and it's easier obviously said than done, right? This is way easier said than done. This does get really you know, hard. It's not easy. These are things you have to go through, specifically like for me multiple times, because there were so many times in my trading journey where I didn't take my fucking trading journal as seriously as I should have. And so I was, a lot of the times in my trading journal, I was making the same mistake over and over and over again and again and again. And then in those periods of time where like I did take my trading journal super seriously and like looking at it every single day, documenting every single trade, reviewing every single week, do you realize the fucking mistakes that you're making over and over and over again? And then from there, things really become easy, honestly. So I promise you, like, if you guys put a lot of emphasis on your trading journal, you'll start to see how these things really transpire, and how you improve upon everything that you're really fucking up on, because you'll start to see it from like a very calm point of view after things have already played out. This is why in my trading journal I have a before and then I have an after, right? And then I can really analyze the market and my emotions and see what the fuck was going on, and see things when I'm no longer in the position, for example, right, with no feelings attached to it. And then you're like, yo, what the fuck was I doing here, right? Like, things were clearly playing out, or so forth and so on. There's no need for me to do this or do that mistake that you keep doing. But yeah, just things along those lines, man. So boys, hopefully you guys took something valuable from this video in really understanding the capacity at which your monetary psychology, hopefully that makes sense, the capacity at which your monetary psychology when it comes to trading works, and how you're going to experience and how you're going to level up, and how you're going to be able, how you need to be able to kind of disassociate yourself from that monetary value. And in doing that, will you then be able to make like so much more money, bro? Like that's literally the only reason I was able to hit that 10-to-1 on that challenge account, bro, and see those $40,000 swing in a day, because I wasn't attached to that money, bro. I had to understand, you know, I'm just gonna let my analysis play out. Like I had to trust my plan and these things, because if I didn't, what the fuck, you think I'm not gonna close seeing a $10,000 day in the market when I never had a $10,000 day, for example, or, you know, being up $25,000, but then you see it pull back to like $8,000 or $10,000 after being up like 20, and thinking like, oh shit, like should I close, it's pulling back, like all these emotions that you're hit with at those new levels, and at the same, like at every level, right? And the only reason, again, you're able to push past these barriers, just like the only reason I was been able to get funded, right, like for 6 figures back then, and get payouts and all this stuff, is because of my ability to understand my psychology and base and have that trust in my fucking plan, bro, and just being very aware of things going on. And obviously did that through years and years of experience. So this is why one of the best things you can do is stop fucking around with your demo account. Go to live. You don't need to deposit crazy amounts of money. But also, simultaneously, this is a good point to bring up before I end this video, is, you know, if you do deposit small amounts of money into your live trading account to really just find consistency and things along those lines, right? Even if you deposit $100 and you risk $1, for example, right, 1%, and to make $3, because we obviously remove like the monetary value here, and you're just trying to look for consistency. Understand that when you do now go take a funded account, you know, a funding challenge for even 10K, 100K, as I said earlier, you are going to experience something that you haven't previously, even though, you know, you've pretty much become profitable in a way on your $100, and you've made, like, even say you make 10% on that $100, you made $10 in the whole month, but it's 10%, you know, on $1 million funded account, that's 100K. But just because you're profitable on there does not mean you're going to be profitable with bigger amounts of money, because you've never dealt with bigger amounts of money, because your psychology has never been able to experience these kinds of numbers, right? And so this is why it's all really just a game of experience, bro. And I'll make another video on this. Like, how experienced do you think you'll become at something if you just do it every single day for years, right? Like, say your dad's a carpenter, and and he's been a carpenter his whole life, 20, 40, 50 years, however long he's been working. You ask him a question about carpenting or whatever he does for work, he's going to know the ins and outs of it, right? What tool, what this, he'll be able to fix something just like that, right? And you take the same approach, but all this shit is really just experience, and you spending day in and day out doing the same bullshit for so long. And imagine you do something for so long, after a couple fucking years, 5 years, 10 years, how good are you gonna be fucking come at it? Somebody's gonna ask you a question, you're gonna automatically know it like that, right? If you've been taking your shit seriously. But I'll make a separate video on that, because I really like that topic. But anyways, boys, hopefully you guys took something valuable from this, man. If you have any questions, drop them in the fucking comment section. I'm also thinking of putting together because of this, and you guys know me if you watch my channel, bro, I'm really into self-improvement, the psychology aspect of everything. I think it's the #1 contributor to trading as a whole. It's literally like the only thing that got me to my first $6,000 month and payout in trading in general. You can go watch that video as well on my channel like 2 years ago. So I'm thinking of putting like a psychology course mentorship together, kind of like a group thing. But let me know what you guys think of all these things, and I promise you that psychology course is going to be one of the fucking best things out there, because I swear to this day, bro, I don't think I've ever fucking seen anybody put enough emphasis on psychology when it comes to trading as much as they need to, because you've watched enough fucking chart videos out there. You know how much chart like videos there are out there. You can go watch any technical analysis video out there, even on my fucking channel, but it's very hard to find psychology like videos. It's very hard to find videos and advice and, you know, things that you can learn from that are actually gonna like move that needle for you, like the big needle mover when it comes to your trading and understanding is your psychology, bro. Like literally, I remember so many times where in my journey I was looking for that one thing, trying to change my analysis when it was my psychology the whole time. Like literally. This is why in the beginning, even when I very first started trading, bro, like in the beginning, I was profitable. Bro. Like literally in the very beginning, because I wasn't as consumed by the market, like mentally. And so I was just following my plan from a very dumb person's point of view. But that was also so good because I just followed the plan. I understood technical analysis, and then that's it. That's how I got funded for $10,000. And then obviously the more you get consumed, the more you become aware. Now the more the psychology starts to dump into it. It's almost like the dumber I was, the more money and the more success I found very early on, right? But I don't want to say the dumber, but even though that was the case, less aware I was, more so like this simpler. And that's the thing that most people will never understand in life. Simple works. The simpler you keep things, the better things will work. I promise you. You stick to the basics, it like that'll take you the farthest. So boys, love you, man. Gonna get this video out, uploading it right now. We'll see you guys in tomorrow's video.